high points in neorealism were reached by the team Zavattini De Sica. Cesare Zavattini and Vittorio De Sica were really different. One of them was a very handsome man, the other one was more chubby, one of them was involved in politics and interested in politics. Zavattini was a Marxist, whereas De Sica was less interested in the programmatic aspects of politics. We should consider that all neorealist films are ideological. One of the aims of neorealism was to substitute the ideologies of fascism with a more inflected, more democratic semiotic field influenced by the ideas of Antonio Gramsci. Vittorio De Sica was a Neapolitan, whereas Cesare Zavattini was from the north, from Emilia-Romagna. De Sica was famous as an actor in the 1930s. He played in many comedies directed by Camerini, and his experience as a professional actor was perhaps one of the reasons he was so skillful in dealing with actors and in creating a sort of osmosis between fiction and reality, between the life of the non-actors and the lives of the protagonists of neorealist films. De Sica started directing in the 1940s, and he made several films with Zavattini, the first of which is I bambini ci guardano, a film that tells the story of Bricot, a child who witnesses the separation or the breaking up of his family. And the film also almost announces that the children are among the most vulnerable people in society. They are subjected to the authority of their parents or their immediate family surroundings, and it confirms the idea that children are overwhelmingly important in neorealist films. De Sica, just to give you a more complete modest overview of his career, De Sica gave regimental performances when he was in the army, while he was serving in the army, and he was interested in making films about the lack of solidarity in Italian society. He defined, I think, in an interview, his films as a struggle against human solidarity. Zavattini and De Sica made three great neorealist films: Shusha, 1946, Bicycle3 in 1948, and Umberto D, 1952. Shusha is a story based on a real story that De Sica knew about. He knew about two children. One of them was Scimmietta, and who was sleeping in a lift and had a grandfather who cared about him, and the other one was completely alone in the world. He had his his head deformed by rickets, and they were shoeshine boys. Shusha means shoeshine. So these children worked as shoe cleaners, and then when they earned 400 or 300 or 400 lire, the lire is the Italian currency before the euro, they went to the Villa Borghese Park to hire a horse, and eventually one of the two kids ended up in jail, and De Sica was so struck by this story, by this real story, that he asked Zavattini what he thought about the idea of expanding this story into a more fictional screenplay for a film. And Zavattini came up with the idea of Shusha, in which we see two street urchins who earn some money, and with that money they are involved in in activities of the black market, and they buy a horse. They also have dreams that the horse they always wanted to ride, and one of them ends up in jail and tries to sell the horse in order to plan an escape. But the film is very tragic, and I won't say more about uh, the the plot of this film. Another important film is Ladri di Biciclette. I won't give a summary of the plot, but I will say that Bicycle Thieves, Ladri di Biciclette, was based on a novel, very loosely based on a novel written by Luigi Bartolini. In this novel, there is a difference. There is a huge difference. The film and the novel are very different. In fact, whereas in Bicycle Thieves we have Antonio Ricci, who is an unemployed, who is an underdog, who needs a bike in order to work. In Bartolini's novel, the victim of the theft, he's an artist, a well-to-do artist, a wealthy person who, almost as a matter of amusement, follows the fate of his bicycle. He has two bicycles in the black market. So the films are very different. I will focus instead. I won't say too much about the Bicycle Thieves because I want to examine it in the second segment of this lecture. But when I say second segment, I mean the second hour. But I will focus on Umberto D, which is the last. It is considered the last neorealist film. The film was dedicated by De Sica to his father, and perhaps this explains the D stands for De Sica. The film was the role of Umberto was played by a professor from Florence, who brought a very intense performance into the film. The story of Umberto is the story of a pensioner who's who's retired, who dresses very well, is very proud, but he's terribly isolated, and his only friend is his dog Flag. The other important character in the film is Maria, a girl who's pregnant and unmarried, but Maria and Umberto do not become friends in the deepest sense of the word, because Umberto fails to take an interest in Maria's life. Also, the landlady in this film is very interesting because she's especially indifferent to the human needs of Umberto, who is almost reduced to begging. And there is also a scene in which he contemplates and then pulls back from suicide at the end of the film. So his only friend is the dog, Flyke, and the film is what strikes me about this film is its simplicity. Its simplicity and it's the way in which communicates a story in a very straightforward and direct way. And also this allows me to make another point, the fact that this film, despite its being in black and white and made of almost more than 50 years ago, almost, I would say 60, at least 60 years ago, we are, and it is a film that speaks of the present. It is a film that speaks of a condition that is still there in our society. This is considered the last. Umberto D is considered the last neorealist film, but after 1952, many films were made which included a neorealist dimension and neorealist elements. However, neorealism gradually became something else, and among the variations of neorealism we can mention the so-called neorealism morosa, the pink neorealism, examples of which are Paniamore Fantasia and Poveri ma Belli by Dino Risi. These films are still filmed on location. They use on location shooting, but the themes, the ambiguous the ambiguous ends of the neorealist films, the tragic elements of neorealist films gradually disappear. The themes change. The films change, and this is evident in the so-called melodrama popolare in the 50s, in which the couple of actors, Yvonne Sanson and Amedeo Nazzari, emerge as stars in films like Catene and I figli di nessuno. In the melodrama popolare, we see as the main difference, as the main point of departure from neorealist filmmaker, the overacting of the characters in the film, of the actors in the film. The last neorealist film is the very end of the movement coincides with Il Generale della Rovere, a film by Rossellini, in which De Sica plays the lead. He gave one of his greatest performances in this film, and in the same year, with Mario Monicelli's La Grande Guerra, we have the beginning of a new genre, the genre of la commedia all'italiana.